Thanks, Mark, for warning me not to do a Jennifer Lawrence coming up the steps. Thanks to Charlie and the Festival of Media team for inviting me. It's a distinguished group to talk to, so I'm looking forward to this. And I just apologize if I sound a bit weird or if I start sort of falling over. I'm really fighting the flu at the moment, so I hope I'm going to make the next few minutes as engaging as possible. Now, I've called this Upwardly Mobile because it's a little bit about how we're trying to create a luxury business for ourselves in this part of the world. I'll talk a little bit about that, but I hope there are some indications there for how we're thinking about marketing more generally, and for media. And I think perhaps for agency partners, or potential agency partners in the room, potential for at least how I see a bright future for some of you. So, I'm going to start, so why did we start to transform ourselves into becoming a luxury business? I got out here in 2007, and for the first 12 months everything was great, and then everything, as you probably remember, just went horribly sour. We had a financial crisis impacting our heartland markets, and we needed to rejuvenate our business here. And our business here looked a little bit like this. Brands like Smirnoff and Johnnie Walker Red Label, which are, I suppose, not luxury in some ways. They're premium for many people in the world, but they're at the 10 to 20 US dollar price points in particular. And we sell our products in what we call the on-trade, which is where you go out to drink them, in places which is really difficult to bring to build brands. So it could be karaoke clubs when people really aren't interested in learning about that type of alcohol, or very loud nightclubs where you can't speak to people and they're mixing them with fizzy drinks and things like that. For people like us who are used to sort of mentoring people, as we call it, through sort of beautiful nuances of Scotch whiskey and where it's made and how different it tastes, this is really tough. So we had a mainstream portfolio where there is quite a lot of volume but not really a lot of money, and in challenging places to build it. Our super deluxe or our luxury brands accounted for a really small part of our business, and that actually is where most of the money tends to be made. And luxury is where the business is in Asia Pacific. So 84% of all the sort of the high-priced stuff in my market is sold in this part of the world and in duty-free. And the growth rates, as well as the money, are all in the high prices. So that super premium area, that's about $50 a bottle. That's growing at 14%. Ultra premium is about $100 a bottle. That's growing at nearly 20%. And prestige, which is $200 a bottle or more, is growing at 33%. So you can see that we were missing out in that area and didn't know how to grow. This is me looking at a glass half full, however. There is opportunity, but we didn't know quite how to crack it. We started with rejuvenating our product lineup. So everything inside a red box is new over the last 3 years, either new to the market or renovated. Things at much higher price points in general. And if you look at the right-hand side, the John Walker & Sons Prestige collection, it doesn't look like the stuff we used to sell. It was designed in Asia by Asian marketers and Asian agencies for consumers, particularly in Greater China and North Asia. Very different type of aesthetic, very different type of pricing. You can see $3,000 a bottle up there. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. From our kind of mainstream rest of the world type of portfolio. So we transformed our product lineup. And a great example of this happened last year. The Queen of England, God bless her, 60 years on the throne last year. And we did something called the Diamond Jubilee Collection. So it's a 60-year-old whiskey. And only 60 bottles were ever made. This is Baccarat crystal, the mold has been broken. And the proceeds went to benefit the Queen's charities for craftspeople. And all the ingredients were from the Queen's royal estates, whether it's from the leather to buying the book which introduced it to whatever. And you could only buy this by invitation, and it cost 200,000 Singapore dollars, and we have sold them all. The point is, yes, we got publicity for it. Yes, we did some good things and set ourselves up as relating to craft and so on. But it showed, in a way, to many people what whiskey could be and how valuable it could be. So getting out of the mainstream and saying, this is who we are. We're proud of it. $200,000. And at the same time, having reorganized our lineup, we've got a model, I think, that is starting to work for us. And here's how it goes. We talk to the 1% in our market we talk to the 9%, and we talk to the 90%, but we do it in different ways. We talk to influencers who can be celebrities, of course, but they are also connoisseurs. We then talk to people who can amplify our messages, bloggers, mainly people online, mainly people who talk to people who have mobile devices. And they amplify our message to people we call the luxury nibblers. Radha Chada wrote a great book about building luxury brands in Asia. These are people who buy once or twice a year. In a way, it's the old BMW strategy. Advertise to the people who are in your market in 5 years' time and make your brand seem very aspirational. And we use a combination of physical spaces and spectacular events and engaging content to do these things. And our approach, if you like, is to take 3 points of a triangle, try to join them up as much as we possibly can. Influencers, we all know, are a shortcut to a safe choice, and a safe choice is important in this part of the world. When there's so much clutter, and the right influencer, whether it's by private word of mouth, digital word of mouth, or well-known celebrity, is a quick way in. With those sort of bars, karaoke bars, big nightclubs, we can't build our brand. So building our own physical spaces where we could create our brand worlds, talk one-to-one to some of these influencers so they can spread our message knowledgeably is terrifically important. And engaging people digitally. And I've said before, a few years ago when I got here, I used to set targets. Digital's important. 10% of our money must be spent on digital. The last 2 or 3 years, I don't do that anymore because our teams just naturally do it. I mean, what's the point of talking about digital when it's just like talking about food or life? It's what is. Digital is how it is. And so let's not sort of, I think, set silly targets anymore. You're either in or you're out. And we're very much in. So trying to engage our 90% in particular online. And doing all of this with what I call scale. Scale is 5 components. Great marketing ideas, I think, are S for simple, C for creative, A for audacious, bold, and breakthrough, L for luxury, and E for brilliantly executed. And put that there, you get the sort of scale of impact to the consumers that you're trying to talk to. So our plans have at least 2 of those elements usually, and we aim for 3 on the bigger brands. Here's some examples. The older gentleman there works for Diageo. He's our master blender. His name is Jim Beveridge, amusingly enough. He is talking to Jude Law, who is there at the opening of what we call the Johnnie Walker House, our physical space in Beijing. And this is Jensen Button, part of our Vodafone McLaren Mercedes relationship. Jensen attended the Shanghai Johnnie Walker House, where he, with Jim Beveridge, made his own signature blend of whiskey, which we now sell at the Johnnie Walker House. Physical spaces. This is a picture of the Johnnie Walker House in Beijing, which we opened in December. Now, this place, together with the one in Shanghai, this is like an embassy for Scotch whiskey. Right? It's a mixture of old world luxury and high technology, where we have great conversations about important subjects like how do you make progress in China? What are you sacrificing with all this mobility and the extraordinary wealth that Paul referred to? As well as being taken through beautiful ways to taste whiskey. And we also sell whiskey there very expensively that you can only buy at the house by invitation. Let me show you a quick film about the one in Shanghai. Okay, now 4,000 people have been through experiences at that place since about 15 months ago when we opened it. 20% of them come back every 2 months. Some of them have bought whiskey worth $500,000 Singapore dollars there. 12% of the total population of Shanghai have heard about this. So 4,000 have been there, 12% have heard about it. 80% of them think Johnnie Walker's amazing, sales are through the roof. It's a different sort of model, and it works. Digital engagement. This is a picture of Chen Kun, sort of a Leonardo DiCaprio type of figure in China. He was part of the second wave of our Johnnie Walker Yulu campaign, which has engaged 73 million people digitally. I mean, engaged them, not talked at them. 20 million of those people have actively participated or voted or put forward business plans for us to potentially sponsor about making progress in life in China. It's an extraordinary thing, and as I said, it's part of what we do. People can always find us, always contribute to something, can contribute to our content, which we can then publicize, and we can contribute to their lives as well. So putting those three things together, I think, is very powerful. The influences of physical spaces and the digital engagement. And I think we've done this with a program that we call the Voyager. It's just completed its Asia-Pacific and Middle Eastern leg in Dubai a week ago. I'm going to play you a short film about this, but what this is it retells a story to help launch a product called John Walker & Sons Odyssey, of when ship's captains were paid by the Walker family on commission to take our whiskey around the world. And they invented a bottle that swung like that, and therefore when you're under sea, it didn't fall over and break. Okay, that was the idea. And in that, we told so many stories about the brand, mentored so many people through it, got so much media coverage. I mean, it's £14 million worth of PR value we've got out of it, 120 million broadcast views, 2 million online views of our special content, partnerships with History Channel, partnerships with Bloomberg, and then it's opened a whole world of relationships with us, people like Bentley and Amex and Louis Vuitton, who we would not have worked with before. And again, think about influencers, physical spaces, and then amplifying the content, and particularly digitally engaging people. I think the Voyager puts it all together.
John Walker & Sons Voyager. This was the reproduction of an epic adventure, which paid tribute to the origins of the Walker family and 3 generations of whiskey visionaries. A 157-foot luxury yacht, redesigned to tell the immersive experience of John Walker & Sons. Every detail designed to reflect and engage consumers and customers in the craftsmanship and heritage of the brand. Over the course of 6 months, Voyager traveled more than 7,500 nautical miles and hosted breathtaking parties in every major Asian port. To launch John Walker & Sons Odyssey and provide a halo for the trademark. Over time, engaging thousands of consumers in conversation and forging strong emotional ties. And along the way, producing intimate portraits of the progress of each city the yacht visited. Recording the journey whilst rewriting the Around the World book. Delivering £13.5 million worth of PR value and forging more than 50 powerful luxury brand partnerships. Creating a unique partnership with History Channel and Bloomberg TV for 10 hours of broadcast television, resulting in more than 120 million viewers and £17 million worth of media value. All backed by a content-rich digital platform delivering more than 20 million online impressions and 1.5 million video views. exceeding objectives and still counting. John Walker and Sons, the luxury whiskey for Asia Pacific, capturing the essence of a true odyssey.
It's pretty cool, pretty different. Look, I'm not pretending I've got all the answers. We're only at this been 2 or 3 years now. We're getting some success. I'm proud of what my team have done. But I do think we're sort of stumbling on something quite interesting here. Put these things together and do it with simplicity, creativity, audacity, luxury, and execution brilliantly. You get magic. And I think that's what we've got here. Something that just does feel like a little bit of magic. And this is how we're going to try and reproduce this year after year. But there are implications, aren't there, right? If you're in an agency in this room. Most of the ideas you've seen in the last 15 minutes didn't come from an agency. They came from people in my team. Now, sure, we use lots of agencies, but not just agencies, actually. Production companies, ship owners, all sorts of people, media partners, who we went direct to, by the way, if you're a media agency. Think of that challenge, okay? In this fragmented world, where so many people are offering different services, clients scratch their heads and go, who the hell do I go to? Okay? And often as not, I think, with the model that we're working on, we have growing confidence that we can start these things off ourselves. So the agencies are most likely to work with us are either the people who do something absolutely stunning, that we're going to be seeking you out and finding out more about what you do, or people who are building long-term strategic relationships and partnerships with us, where conversations over a cup of coffee or a glass of water or something like that can produce an idea as opposed to a formal response to a formal brief. So I'm saying this is kind of changing an awful lot about what we do. I hope your networking goes well over the next couple of days. But this is, if you're trying to network with me, for a start, I'll be on my sickbed. But if you're trying to network with me, first of all, do brilliant stuff and get noticed. But secondly, work with us to try and find out what our strategy is and what we're doing, and be proactive in coming up with ideas. And I realize in an agency financial model which relies on quick time turnaround to ensure profitability, okay, that sometimes won't look very profitable. But in the long run, it's how you're likely to succeed, at least with us. We've got confident enough to refocus our investment. We've cut a lot of money on tactical stuff and point of sale and little things, and we now spend 80%, much more than we used to, on the kind of things I've been showing you. And our growth, I hope, speaks for itself. Because where we are now is our luxury business has doubled in 3 years. It drives 40% of our growth in this region, if not more, and it's now a quarter of our business from a tiny portion a little while ago. I hope this has been interesting. I put out a challenge to you. It's how we're thinking of things. As I said, I really don't pretend I know all the answers, but I hope in some way it stimulates a little bit of thinking and debate this week. Thanks very much.